Really two ways this
Yeah.
could affect transportation.
Yeah.
One, by the reduction of heating
Heating
oil,
And
which
two,
could then be done, and then
and if we can
a
prove that
gasoline
liquid ammonia
replacement.
could be made from electrolysis in ocean water, then we've just invented the first new viable form of liquid petroleum since gasoline was since Rudolf Diesel developed diesel. And I would hope that George Hart would win the Nobel Peace Prize.
I can't see why he wouldn't be nominated anyway. Now, looking at that, you said a window of 5 to 7 years before Maine really has a problem.
Yeah.
Can this be done in that time period?
What's going to have to be done?
Okay. Is the technology here to do it?
We think, oh yeah, sure. I say that casually, but each of these components, what's really interesting is that this is stuff I didn't have a clue about like, as recently as last spring. But the University of Maine has gotten heavily involved in this. And I didn't know anything about the University of Maine. What a remarkable institution there. About 10 years ago, they embarked on creating a Composites research center. And I spent a full day up there in the middle of August in Orono, which is where their main campus is. It is really unbelievable what they're doing with composites. When we were there, they had a 70-foot bridge span of composites that they had this big machine that was basically
Twisting it, yeah.
In about a month and a half, they can road test about 80 years. These two guys picked this bridge span up.
It's that light.
This is the lightest, toughest material ever made. So that's what the blades are going to be.
Imagining a wind farm that can produce the same amount of power as 5 nuclear power plants.
Yeah.
That's not currently on anybody's horizon.
On anyone's horizon.
If you can pull that off within...
Well, it's not on anyone's horizon, but about 20 people.
Right. Well, people who actually are thinking about a viable solution. I mean, that's much more exciting, let's say, than a wind farm that does, 2 or 3 gigawatts. That would be an incredible amount of power.
Yeah.
If it's duplicatable.
One of the things that intrigued me the most about the whole concept of ocean energy, once I got into this and started reading, is that about I can't remember whether it's 60 or 80%. I'm going to say about 60% of the people in the world live within about 50 miles of an ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to devise a new form of energy, you don't want to have it in the Sahara Desert.
No, correct.
You want to have it close to where people are. One of the things that's neat about the Gulf of Maine is what we're talking about is about 20 miles offshore. So cabling something 20 miles, then we're into the grid.
Mm-hmm.
We could conceivably be selling summer electricity to Tennessee. But we actually want to use most of the electricity to actually, start creating liquid ammonia.
Yeah. Well, in the gasoline replacement, that's a bonus. And could
That's
be...
not a bonus, it's a holy grail.
Well, I was going to say, that could be a silver bullet.
We'll never use enough seawater that we actually dip into the ocean.
Well, we do have these two problems, and as you compare them to the diseases...
Yeah, one potentially terminal, the other serious.
Right. I think that we have come to a point, certainly with the way the public is reacting and actually getting involved, that were we able to describe the difference between these two and point to the data points, perhaps we could get the American public to insist on a solution here. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how far we would have to go to get one. It looks to me like we're sitting right at the edge.
Yeah, I was getting pretty encouraged by the spring that people really seem to be getting it from far and wide. And I'm gauging this from reactions when I've gone on campuses of the most energy, uninterested areas and finding that 500 people fill an auditorium. Then I saw the summer come along and this unbelievable witch hunt start to say, let's find the root of the evil for why we're having these high oil prices. And I said, we haven't actually, the powers that be, the bullhorn voices that people listen to, which, again, it's CIRA, it's the API, it's ExxonMobil, they just don't seem to get it. And until they do, then it's really far-fetched to see the leaders in the Senate and Congress and the administration saying, no, I'm going to ignore what Exxon says. I'm going to ignore what the API says. I'm going to ignore what Cambridge Energy says, because I think I know better. We shouldn't expect that out of any leadership around the world.
Well, I don't disagree with you. But as you've pointed out to me in other interviews, if I look at what happened in the North Sea, the data was in front of us.
Yeah.
If we look at Alaska, the data was in front of us.
Yeah.
If we look at what you put into Twilight in the Desert, there is
The data
no
is
data
sort of in front of us when you look carefully.
Yeah, if you look between the lines,
Yeah.
the data's here. Just your description of the gasoline distribution system, the data is in front of us.
Yeah. But so was the data a year ago that the financial system was on an unsustainable path to hitting a mountain, and we didn't do anything about it. When the bear melted down, so that was just Bear Stearns. And so we basically fiddled all summer long while we got closer and closer to the edge. So I think there is a parallel of how we can put our head in the sand. When I heard Secretary Paulson a few days after this whole debacle saying, I was just stunned to realize we had no regulation. I was stunned to see that basically our Secretary of Treasury, who'd been the CEO of Goldman Sachs, didn't understand that.
And
I don't mean to be critical of him. I think he's doing a yeoman's job, but I thought, how could he not have understood this?
Well, in deference to Secretary Paulson, he did say that he's seen this coming for a year. And so it surprises me that we're just getting into this now.
Again, I think in fairness, he probably said, yeah, I saw a problem building up. Like someone could have said a year before the dot-com bubble, this didn't smell right. But that's quite different than saying, no, I looked into it and it was a scam.
Well, everything starts with a first step. If you were to look forward right now and say, what should be step number one?
Yeah.
What do you think we need to do?
Have a cold shower.
Okay. After the cold shower,
realize that we are in a grievously deep energy hole and stop digging.
always good advice when you're in a hole and you don't want to get
digging.
deeper. Stop digging.
Right now, we seem to be accelerating the pace of the dig. Ban driving. Maybe put a curfew in place. We have a ticking time bomb on running out of gas.
Well, none of these are going to be popular items. Matt, we've been across the board here. Any final thoughts?
Pray.
Good advice at all times. I'm Richard Loomis for World Energy, and we've been speaking with Matt Simmons, chairman of Simmons & Company and author of Twilight in the Desert. Thank you very much for watching.